How much monthly profit will you make from keeping 50 layer chicken? That's what I'm going to tell you in this video. Hi, I'm Carlos, guide at Secret Layers, a poultry education platform that teaches you how to start and run a layer poultry farm profitably. And let's get straight into the numbers. But before we begin, please subscribe and like the video so that you don't miss out on any future videos from this channel, and so that more people can get to see it and get the value from it. So there are 3 assumptions that I'm going to make in this video so that it can be easier for us to calculate the monthly profits. And these are: 1, we're going to use a price of 400 shillings, that is Kenya shillings, per tray of 30 eggs. And 2, for the price of layers mash, we are going to use a price of 60 shillings per kg. And 3, we are going to assume an 80% production rate of your birds. So starting with sales, how much money are you going to make generally from the sale of your eggs without deducting the costs? So 50 layer chicken laying at an 80% production rate, that gives you, 40 eggs per day. You can see that you're very good at math. So 40 eggs daily in 30 days, that equals to 1200 eggs per month. And when you switch that back to trays, that is, you take the 1200 divided by 30, you get 40 trays per month. And remember our price per tray assumption of 400. So per month, 40 trays of eggs multiplied by 400 shillings per tray, that gives you cash 16,000 as the revenue, or as the total sales from the eggs you get from your birds. Then moving on to the costs. Now, since this is a 50 birds layer farm, 1, you won't need an employee, and 2, the vaccination costs will be low, and 3, less maintenance will be needed as compared to a 10,000 layer chicken farm. So how much is it going to cost you to run the farm? We all know that the main cost on a layer poultry farm is the feeds. And for layer birds during their laying period, they eat 130 grams per day per hen. So multiplying that by the number of birds that you have, which is 50, you get 6,500 grams per day. When you convert that to kilograms, then you get 6.5 kilograms per day. So that means every day you'll be feeding your birds 6.5 kgs of layers mash. And I hope you still remember our assumption price of layers mash, which was at 60 per kg. So now 60 per kg of layers mash multiplied by 6.5, which is the consumption of our birds daily, gives us 390 Kenya shillings. That's the price, or rather the cost of feeds that you'll be using per day on your farm. Now let's convert that to a monthly cost. So 390 multiplied by 50, and we get, correct, 11,700 shillings. So just to show you where we are, from the sales of eggs, we get 16,000 shillings monthly, and now we've deducted the feeds costs, which is 11,700 shillings monthly. So we are at this point left with 4,300 shillings. But those are not the final costs. One thing that we have to include here is the vaccines for the birds. Now for layers, when they get to the laying phase, most of the vaccines have already been covered in the previous 5 months. So for now, the main and major vaccines include regular deworming, which happens like 2 or 3 months apart, and then you can have some regular full typhoid or fallpox vaccination. So for that cost, we are going to use 500 Kenya shillings. So 4,300 where we are, less 500 shillings for the vaccines, we get 3,800. That's what we are left with. But one more cost we have to include. Remember, your farm is not running in a vacuum. At certain times you'll need transport to take you to the customers, or to transport the eggs to the customers, or to get your feed, or even sometimes internet, the simplest and basic cost. So for that, the industry standard is always to use a 15% of the feeds as miscellaneous costs. And 15% of our feeds, which was 11,700, is 1,755 Kenya shillings. So subtracting that from the 3,800 that we have left, we now finally have a remainder of 2,045 Kenya shillings. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the final profit that you will get from your farm if you're raising 50 layer chicken. Is it high or is it low? I'll leave that for you to judge, and you can tell me in the comments below, but that's what you should expect from your 50 layer birds farm. Now, there is a secret which I'm going to tell you. This 2045 Kenya shillings is not the cap, it's not the maximum of profits that you can get from your farm. Even though your farm is small, there are some key measures that you can do that will help you boost that profit to even double. And while I have touched on it on some parts of my blog at secretlayers.co.ke, I'm going to make a full video explaining to you on how you can increase the profits on your small farm by decreasing the costs. But just a highlight, that will include improvising on the equipment you use on your farm, negotiating better prices for both feeds and egg prices, and finally managing your farm like a pro farmer, like a real farmer. Here's one thing that most farmers usually miss. When you take the daily profits that you make from your farm and accumulate them for the number of birds for the number of months that you're going to keep your birds, that's not your final profit. Because remember, you either bought the birds as point of lay chicken, or you bought them as day-old chicks and brooded them to the point they started laying. So you have to factor in that pre-laying costs for buying the birds and feeding them before they start giving you eggs, and you have to subtract it from the final sales that you make from your eggs and from selling your egg layers. That is the real profit of your layer farm, and that should be the number that you're striving to push up and up and up. I just told you the best secret that most layer poultry farmers have no idea about, and for that, please subscribe so you don't out on such good, great secrets. Yeah, that's it. If you found value in this video, please share it to an interested friend or group, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you're a beginner in layer poultry farming, check out this free guide that I prepared for you. It has the 6 simple steps to starting and running a profitable layer poultry farm, and you can get it at secretlayers.co.ke. I leave the link in the description. Adios.